Welcome to the channel. Tonight I'm going to be going over Ghostbusters Afterlife. I saw this movie last week, just before Thanksgiving on Wednesday. Normie wife and I went and checked it out. And before we get into it, I just want to say that I will be doing no spoilers, so I won't be giving away any plot points or anything like that. And secondly, I want to start off by saying I did like this movie. I really did. I had very little expectations going in to see this. I really didn't think the trailers were that good. The trailers, to me, seemed like what typically happens with Hollywood movies. They go into the nostalgia closet and they just break out everything they can, and they start showing off a bunch of stuff that we've already seen many years ago and reusing a lot of the same stuff. And I'm really tired of that. So when I saw the trailer, I didn't think it wasn't near as bad. It wasn't anything like that, but I was concerned that's where we were going to go. There were some things, obviously, but and that was kind of the reason that actually I went to see this movie. Was the trailer I didn't think was fantastic by any stretch of the imagination, but the callbacks weren't like over the top. So, and I didn't really like the plot of handing the baton off to a bunch of kids. It kind of looked like Stranger Things / Ghostbusters. So I don't know. I really wasn't feeling this movie when I went into it. And when it started off, I kind of had my guard up a little bit, to be honest with you. I'm someone who grew up watching the original movie and the sequel. I've seen the original Ghostbusters more times than I can count. I have no idea. I had it on a VHS, taped it from like HBO or something back in the day. That's how far back I go. And I wore that tape out. So I really wasn't looking forward to seeing a bunch of kids becoming Ghostbusters or just sort of filling in those roles. But I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. Once this movie started going, I started kind of letting my guard down. Like I said, I was starting to see where they were going with it. And I thought they did a pretty good job of emulating the original movie. Because that's what this movie is. This is a basically direct sequel, a 35-year later sequel from the original Ghostbusters. Now, I will say that the plot was really simple, and I actually like that. I was kind of appreciative that it took its time, because like the original movie, a lot of people think it's like this comedy. If you haven't seen it, it's like, oh my God, is this comedy movie from back in the day? And it's really not. It's actually they're serious. Like, the plot is a serious plot, and the actors are serious. They just happen to be really funny actors. Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson, Harold Ramis, R.I.P. Harold Ramis. So the movie, the original movie, like I said, it really did a great job of starting slow. You had that kind of quick opening where you see a ghost, and then it takes a while before you see a ghost again. So, and this movie followed that same pattern. And I like that, and they did a good job of sort of, I won't say, they did do a lot of repeating what I've seen already before, but it was still done with taste. It was still pretty classy. Excuse me. The callbacks. Now, I did say, and I mean it, I don't like callbacks. I don't like just nothing but, showing us a bunch of things that we've seen many years ago and then sort of remaking the same movie. I'm thinking of like The Force Awakens, how The Force Awakens was basically A New Hope with just a bunch of characters switched around and not done well. This was different. I thought the callbacks were actually pretty good. Now, they did get a little heavy-handed, but I enjoyed them. They were done in a very subtle way, where they weren't slapping you in the face with, remember this? Didn't you see that? Happens a couple of times, but for the most part, I really thought the callbacks were done well. Excuse me. The actors, they did a good job. So I'm not a huge fan with kid acting and kid actors. There was this, I don't know what it was. There was this sort of cliche character for every child in a movie. And that was the brooding teen, disrespectful, had attitude, and was just constantly smarting off to authority figures. Very, like, I don't know, very discontent with like everyone around him, like just no one, and you couldn't really talk to them or relate to them, and it got really old. And there's so many shows and movies and stuff that did that. So when I see all these kid actors, I kind of like, okay, how are they going to be? They were really great. I thought they were really good. The main character, who her name's Phoebe, and you see her in the trailer. She's played by McKenna Grace. I thought she was great. I thought she was very funny, and she did a great job playing her character. And I don't think that it was. I'm not sure if it was intentional, but when I saw her and I saw her hairdo, They used to watch the Ghostbusters cartoon, and I swear they took Egon's haircut from the cartoon and put it on her head. That was the first thing I saw. When I saw her, I was like, oh my God, oh no way are they, but I don't know. Maybe they were using that. Maybe they weren't, but that's what I thought when I saw her. And she is a very intelligent kid, but she's not like a know-it-all, and she does a great job of being intelligent, but also, learning as she goes. And she becomes really good friends with another character who I thought was good. His name's Podcast, and he's played by Logan Kim is the actor. Now, I thought he was funny. I didn't think he was hysterical though. I think they really kind of pushed his character to be sort of the comic relief. But he wasn't bad. He was just fine. He said some funny lines, but there was some of the stuff where I was like, okay, you're kind of, and a lot of what he was doing was when it didn't land was when they were doing direct callbacks from the original movie. So, that was kind of a bummer, but I thought he did great. I mean, for those two, because they're kind of leading the charge for the most part once the movie gets going. And I thought they both did a great job. The surprise for me that I thought I would, knowing who Finn Wolfhard is, or Wolford, he is Mike from Stranger Things. And I think it's Mike. Yeah, I think so it is. Anyways, he's one of the kids in Stranger Things. And he was great in that show. But now he's grown. These kids, it's like, this thing about casting children in any sort of TV show or a series, they grow up so fast. So as a father, I watched my daughter, she blew up like a wild weed. But so it's kind of weird seeing him. He's all tall now. He looks like he's like 6 foot almost, but I don't know. But he's a teenager, and he's the older brother. He's Phoebe's older brother. His name's Trevor. I was actually surprised at how little of an impact he made. He really didn't leave a huge impact with me. So if there was one character who I was kind of let down by, it was him. And also this other actor, her name's Celeste O'Connor. She played, her character's name was Lucky. And I thought she was okay. But again, she was kind of positioned as one of the main characters, but I don't know. She just didn't really, I don't know, neither Trevor or Lucky really didn't like stand out to me. They did a good job though. They weren't terrible at the acting or nothing like that. It was just more of the script itself didn't really lend to them having a bunch of growth. And and you've seen the trailers. The mom, her name is Callie, and she's played by an actress named Carrie Coon. I've always been a fan of hers. I think she's a really talented actress. So I was looking forward to her being in the movie. And the other big actor that's in the movie is called, his name's Gruberson. He's played by Paul Rudd. Everyone knows who Paul Rudd is now. He's Ant-Man. So, and I've always been a fan of his. I remember him back in like the 40-Year-Old Virgin. Like I thought he was great in that movie. And he's a good comedic actor. But the thing about Carrie Coon and Paul Rudd, to me, it's, what they're going to be. And Paul Rudd is Paul Rudd. He's the same exact character, quirky, funny, kind of sarcastic in a way, but not like a jerk. Carrie Coon, she has the wits, and she's very good at delivering her lines, but she's kind of the same character. But it did not hurt the movie at all. I thought they did a great job. And I really thought that the movie did a great job of paying respect to the original. And that's something that Hollywood has just been guilty of, particularly like Disney and Warner Brothers. Man, they just don't give a damn about what came before. And every time they do anything nowadays, it's like this, it's like having to, disrespect or shit on the past or the movies or characters that came before them to elevate the characters that they want you to like. And it's never, it always comes off like just, it just comes off bad, terrible. They always, and whatever you have to, if you have to lower a character to raise one up, you're just hurting the whole thing. You know, instead of using what came before to complement this new character or characters or story arcs, they always seem to be just like disrespectful, and they want you to dislike what came before and always like poking fun at what came before. But they didn't do that in this movie. They really, that I thought they did a great job of paying respect to the OG cast, the OG story arc. I was really happy about that. I really didn't, I can't think of one time or during the movie that I was like, oh, that's so annoying, or why would they do that? Or why, they just, I was genuinely like grinning throughout the movie. Um, when you hear the music, they use the original music from the original movie, and they did a good job. Now, I guess that's kind of me being a little bit biased, so I'll cop to that. When I hear the music from the like from the original movie, because they use the same stuff, it really just gets me right in the heart. Where I was like, oh man, I love that, and it took me back, but it was done the right way. It took me back in a really good way. But it is kind of cheating for the movie, because if you removed that awesome score from the original Ghostbusters, how would this really be? Would the scene still carry the same weight? Maybe, maybe not. But we'll never know, because it wasn't like that. And I liked the way it ended up. I was really cool with it. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I really did. And Normie wife did too. When we left, we both kind of went into it with like, okay, here's another remake or another, decades old sequel that no one asked for. And we both left with like, we were surprised at how much we enjoyed it. So there were some negatives I want to talk about. So they really do take from the original movie, like almost beat for beat. The story is very right down the line of the original movie. It's kind of good and it's kind of bad. Now, as I said before, I'm not going to sit here and like, I don't want to shit on this movie because I think it's a good movie, and I think it respected my time for sure. And I think it would respect yours as well. But there was there were scenes that were just directly ripped from the original movie. So I don't know. I mean, you have to be the judge of for yourself on that one. Because to me, I didn't think it was terrible, but it was sort of right there. I was like, okay, that's from the original. That's from the original. So I don't know. You have to figure that out for yourself if you see it. The other thing about the plot and the story was that the connection to the original movie, I thought it was kind of thin, because it really is a direct connection. Like it's a direct sequel, and it was the connection wasn't strong. It wasn't solid. It made sense, but it was just a very thin plot. So I didn't hate it. But I was like, nah, it's kind of cheesy, but whatever, that's fine. The other thing about the plot was, I'm kind of a stickler when it comes to plot conveniences, and I've seen way too many TV shows and movies currently, the current stuff that's been coming out the last 5-6 years, where it's just, someone happens along and finds this thing that changes their life, and it's pure luck, or they just happen to be at the right place at the right time for them to meet so and so, because their car ran out of gas or something. You know what I mean? There's always these ridiculous plot conveniences that make the story move forward. This one wasn't terrible, but there's definitely times in this movie where I was like, oh, that's pretty lucky. It's kind of fortunate the way it worked out that way, or else we wouldn't have a movie. And that kind of stuck out a little bit to me, but that's just me. I mean, I have a habit of just looking for that type of stuff. If I see the story just sort of happening, and it's just, there's no real rhyme or reason, it just happens based on luck, yeah, kind of gets to me. The other thing too was, so a lot of people too about the original movie, it's kind of forgotten about. It's not a comedy movie. it actually is kind of, it can be a little scary at times. I mean, I saw this when I was a child. I don't know, I was probably like 6, 7 years old when I saw the original. And there were some scenes from that movie that scared the shit out of me. You know, they were startling scenes, but it was still, you know, it was the Ghostbusters with their lighthearted and the actors and the way they spoke of the events that they were seeing, even though they were crazy and, you know, kind of scary. They always cut through that sort of that fear and that sort of scariness, and just they was the perfect medicine to make me feel like, oh, okay, cool, you know, Ray's there, you know, Egon's there. So, you know, I think that they did a good job of, there are a couple of those moments where it gets a little scary. Well, I won't say scary, but like scary for a kid, where it might like jump scares. And I think jump scares, they bug the shit out of me. I think they're cheap. I don't like them. I don't know. I like things that sort of freak me out because I'm like, you know, I'm freaking out because I'm like, whoa, is this real? But when it's just like a boo moment where someone like the music ramps up to like 20 and the door like slams open and it's like, and it turns out to be, you know, a sweater hanging in the thing, but it's like this really cheap scare. Yeah, I don't like that type of stuff. That happens a little bit here, but for the most part, I wish they would have went a little bit harder into that. And just from just a few times. It doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be terrifying like Halloween or something. But the other thing that bums me out about this movie is this movie didn't happen with Harold Ramis. Yeah, he's passed away. And I know that there was talks about this film being made years and years ago, and the fact that it came out after that terrible Ghostbusters 2016 movie, and this movie is like, it's like, you know, so much better than that movie ever wished it could be. And I think that Harold Ramis not being alive for this sucks. Like, that bothers me. It really does. And I you know, and again, it's Hollywood. And so, you know, you kind of get your news from different weird, you know, little rumors and articles and stuff like that. But my understanding is Bill Murray was the reason why this wasn't getting made. Him and Harold Ramis did not get along. It was pretty common knowledge that they argued on set a lot. And when Harold Ramis wrote and directed Groundhog Day, which was a fantastic movie that starred Bill Murray, it was the same thing, you know, where he was constantly battling with Harold. And my understanding is that this movie, this sort of sequel, it wasn't made because of him. And that kind of pissed me off, because this was something that I thought was very respectful to the original. And Harold Ramis wrote and directed the original movie too. So that kind of bums me out. But overall, I like this movie. I think this movie totally respected my time. I think it respected the source material in the original movie and the original characters and the story arcs. The thing too that I was super happy about was there was no political agenda. There was no social justice, current time shit thrown into it. They didn't reference that. I mean, nothing that stuck out to me, nothing that I can recall at all that referenced any sort of current political bullshit. Whenever I hear a director or an actor talk about, we want to make this show and we want to make it current, that just, to me, just means like, oh, we want to make sure we shove our politics down your throat. I can't stand that shit. Part of the reason why I started this channel is because I'm so tired of politics and social justice agenda getting shoved into movies and art. There are ways to do it, and you can make the art with any message that you want. And I'm not the type of person that says, like, I don't think it should be made. I'm saying I don't like it. I don't like the content. So I pass on a lot of TV shows and movies. As soon as they start heading into that political agenda, you know, and all that crap and virtue signaling and just a bunch of shit. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm turn it off. I turn it off. I won't go to the theater. You know, I'm not going to pay for anything that does that kind of shit. So this movie didn't do any of it. And I was relieved. Like, when I walked out of that movie theater, I was like, man, that was nice. It was nice to I felt like, hey, I'm going to a movie to have some fun. I'm going to go have some fun, eat some popcorn, you know, chill out with my wife and watch the movie. And we both really enjoyed it. So So yeah, I was very happy about that. And and it didn't it didn't stomp on the previous material to elevate it in any way, and it didn't sort of turn the original material into some sort of punchline to make it seem like it's the funny part or it's better than the original. So overall, I think this movie is good. It's not fantastic, it's not flawless, but it is definitely worth your time. If you've seen the original, especially if you're around my age, I'm in my 40s, and if you've seen the original movie when you were a kid, I think you're gonna like this. I think you will enjoy it. So I highly recommend you check it out, and it's good for the kids too. I mean, this is a good, like, I would like, if my daughter was here, she doesn't live with me, but if my daughter lived with me, this is the movie I'd want her to see. And then I would go home, or I'd show her the original movies, and then I'd take her to see this movie because it really was worth it. So I really appreciate it. But other than that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for stopping by. Click the subscribe button if you would, please. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. I know they're getting rid of the thumbs down. If it's still there, and if you didn't like the content, I'm okay with a thumbs down. It's good feedback. I leave my email at the end of all my videos now. So if you have any questions, or if you have anything you want me to cover, feel free to drop me a line. Share it with your friends if you thought it was worth if you think it's worth their time too. And other than that, I'll see you later. Bye.